name's John Hollingsworth, and today we're going to do a video to show how to examine a shoulder. We're not going to do all the tests that you can do for shoulder examination, but we're going to do the tests that we think that will exclude most significant lesions and lead you towards getting a correct diagnosis and management plan. Our subject today is Claire, who I've been introduced to previously, who's given consent for today's video and examination, and I've washed my hands prior to the procedure. First of all, we always employ a look, feel and move process when examining any musculoskeletal part of the body, and the first thing we look for is basically simple posture signs. So is Claire holding her neck to one side? Are her shoulders in symmetry? And has she got any increased curvature here or here in the spine, or any postural defects which might lead to shoulder problems as such? I'm also looking for any scars which might be signs of arthroscopy or any previous injury or shoulder stabilisation, and any previous fractures. A lot of people have got little bumps in the middle of their clavicles which are usually clinically insignificant, but we'll have a look just to see if there's anything there to indicate previous injury, and also at the AC joints which might well be showing signs of disruption chronically or acutely. So, having done that, I always at this point, as I am just looking, I'll just ask Claire, can you actually press both arms into the wall, please? Now, when I do this, press as hard as you can there. I'm looking particularly at these medial wings of the medial aspects of the scapula to see if they're pushing up, which might lead to problems with shoulder instability, gleno-scapular dysfunction, and also be a sign of either trapezius injury or serratus anterior injury. And there's no winging there at all. Okay. Now, while Claire's like this, you can just relax pressing, but I'll just put a hair there. And what I'll do actually is, as we feel, I'm just going to run down the neck. The neck is an important part of the examination of the shoulders. Have you got any pain at all in any of the muscles or the bones of your neck, Claire, when I'm feeling down there? Okay. And I'm just seeing, running along the margin of the scapula. You repeat both sides, but for speed of video and not to bore you all, I'm just going to do one side here, running along the wing of the scapula here. I'm feeling in the groove above. This is where supraspinatus sits, and then in the groove below the wing, the spine of the scapula, infraspinatus sits. And is there any muscle wasting or any asymmetry as we go along? Now, if Claire, you would like to turn around, please, and face me. I would then start at the sternoclavicular joint here, and sometimes you can just get, if there's a problem with any subluxation or anything there, you can see. We'll just come along, and we go along the clavicle, working along that way till we get all the way to the acromioclavicular joint here. There might be tenderness there with a ligamental disruption, and there might be a deformity. Going underneath the acromion, there might be pain elicited underneath the acromion there if there's any element of possible sinus acromial impingement. But basically, we're just working our ways along. We're just going down the biceps just to make sure we've not got a ruptured long-headed biceps and a classical Popeye appearance of biceps, but everything seems fine here. Now, having done that, we know that there's no pain. Claire's not experienced any pain. We're actually now going to see what sort of range of movement she has. So initially we'll look at the flexion of the shoulders, and if you with both arms you can just lift your shoulders up like I can, and that's the normal range if you're getting to 180 degrees. And if you come down again, Claire, that's nice. Just turn slightly to one side so that you don't hit the wall. And then we're going to just do abduction to clasp our hands above our shoulders, our head. And that's good. And then if we look from behind, if you spin around there, Claire, as well, if you then come back down with your arms down to the side. Now, if we watch closely, and examining the shoulder from the back is important. If you come up really slowly, Claire, with the same movement, you see initially it's glenohumeral, and then the scapula begins to pull away as rotation comes up. While Claire's doing that with the abduction movement, I'm going to ask if there's an arc of pain, and classically with any impingement you're looking at an arc of pain between 60 and 120 degrees, and Claire hasn't got any of that. And while we're out looking at the range of movement and behind, can you put your chin down on your chest please, Claire? Now look right up to the ceiling. Okay, and then back to the middle and rest. And now if you turn round towards me like an owl with your head, just your head, that's good. And then look the other direction. Okay, and relax that. And then put that ear on that shoulder. And that ear on the other. And actually Claire's a little bit stiff there, and she does have a bit of a problem with her neck, as I know from previous consultations. So, we've done abduction, we've done flexion. Now if we just come to the side again, Claire, and face me, and then we can just see what extension she's got, and that's a full extension there, around about 60 degrees. So, Claire's movements are good, and she doesn't seem to have too much problem with those things. So, we've looked, we've felt, and now we've seen the movement. Now I want to test Claire's muscular power, and the most common muscles which get injured are the rotator cuff, and I'd like to start off with subscapularis. Now before I do that, there's just one more range of movement I'd like to check, and that's the internal rotation of the shoulder. And Claire's getting right way up into the middle, and I'd measure where she gets the middle of her hand in relation to the thoracic vertebrae, and then just see if those were equal as well. Okay. And then what I would like to do is just check her external rotation, and this can be done just purely by seeing again how far round we can get, and this is called Apley's scratch back test, and then again with the same hand. Now knowing that Claire's got a full range of internal rotation there, I can do a test for subscapularis strength, which is if you put your arm like that into your back, Claire, I'd now like you to try and push outwards into me. I'll just stabilise you there. And then she's got full strength of subscapularis. If she couldn't do that, what I would do is ask her to put her fists into her tummy like that and push in, but leave those shoulders in front of her things. And just to check that she's doing that properly, I could actually get my hand there. She's pushing there, but these are keeping anterior to the midline, so she's got no subscapularis problem. Okay, now for infraspinatus, we like to hold our elbows right into our sides as much as we can. Place your arms forwards like that. And then what I want you to do is to keep your elbows like that, but turn them out like that, okay? So then, knowing that you can do that passively, do that against me as strong as you can. There's no weakness at all there. For supraspinatus, I tend to hold them out like that and ask you now to lift up against me. And again, she's got equal power on both sides. So rotator cuff-wise, I think there's not a problem there. Now, one of the more common symptoms that we see, or syndromes that we see, is subacromial impingement. There's probably two tests that we can do for that which can accurately diagnose whether there's a problem. I'm just going to do it on the right hand side. This is Hawking's test. Now, Hawking's test, we hold the arm at 90 degrees induction, and then we just internally rotate everything. Does that cause you any pain at all, Claire? Okay. Now we've actually come round then on a full arc doing that, just to see if that made any difference. We're internally rotating all the way, and at any point, does that made you just jump a little bit, do you feel that one? Okay. So this might be a degree, and Claire's actually had some problems with her arms and has had injections in the past into that arm, so there's a little bit possibly of impingement going on there. Okay, so while we have her arm in this position, we can also check if there's any AC joint problem. We can do a scarf test, where we just pull up along there and just see if there's any pressure coming, and there's none there. Okay, so we're quite happy at the impingement's not serious, but there might well be a bit. With the internal rotation that we've given there, it's catching the greater tuberosity, is coming upwards in the internal rotation and pushing supraspinatus up against the acromion there as we do that. One of the other common problems that we see is instability of the shoulder, and we can test this in the antero-postero plane by just pushing forwards and backwards on the humerus and just seeing if there's any translation backwards or forwards, giving anterior or posterior instability, and there's none there at all. And one of the other things that you can get, and you can do this lying down actually as well, but this is an apprehension test, whereas as you externally rotate, do you feel any feeling that that might be coming forward? If you have anterior instability, this movement will make you think it's coming forward. You can increase it by a bit of posterior pressure. If there is some apprehension, obviously stop, but you can relieve it by pressing back the other way because that gives some anterior stability. Okay, one of the other things for impingement that I didn't mention earlier is if we do the empty can test. Now Claire, if you just face the camera and hold your arms out in the thumbs up position. Okay, so there we are, we're in a good position. Now if you lift up against me, does that hurt at all? Okay, now if you put your thumbs down and you lift up against me, does that hurt? In a classical impingement, you will find that there's more pain with the thumbs down. So thumbs down is a bad sign, always good. So moving back on to instability, having got things slightly out of order for the video, we'll now talk about slap lesions, and there's multitudinous tests of slap lesions, and I think really for us what we need to do in the first instance is exclude the presence of a slap lesion. I use Kuhn's triple test, in which if all three of these tests are negative, then you're very unlikely, a 6% chance of having a slap lesion. If you get 1, 2 or 3, the percentage goes up, and really if you're getting 1 or 2 positive signs, you'd be thinking about moving on to an MRI scan or further imaging of the shoulder. So the first thing we do is we look for the inferior sulcus sign. So we grab the epicondyles of the humerus and we just pull downwards on this. So this is looking at any inferior stability. You'll see a sulcus develop down here. There's absolutely no sulcus developing there. With Claire, who's not got any problems at all with that. We then move on to Jurgensen's test. Now Jurgensen's test is looking at the bicipital tendon, and basically what we're holding the arm at roughly about this angle, we're doing a forced supination. So what I'd like you to do, Claire, is try and turn your wrist over, but I'm going to stop you doing it. And what you would be palpating here in the bicipital groove is for any signs of pain or clunking or clicking within that bicipital groove. And now Claire's doing that, there's no problem. And the third test is to abduct the arm, and if you hold that there, Claire, and then try and stop me pulling that down. So we're testing that inferior stability there, and then there was no problem there at all. So all three of those are negative, so it's highly unlikely that Claire's got a slap lesion there. As I say, there are probably 20 or 30 other different tests that you can do, but we'd be having a very long video if we went through all of those. So that's the basis of competent shoulder examination, where you're going to pick up most conditions and they will govern your further moves with investigations that you might want to do. Thank you very much.